Привет, товарищи! And it is with great pleasure that I present to you a video that has been months in the making. That is my top 10 alt history paths for Hearts of Iron 4. But before we jump in, I just want to quickly go over the parameters. So, for this particular countdown, I'm basing things on a combination of power and fun. So as we go on, the countries are going to tend to get more powerful. In addition to that, every game is played with historical focuses on. However, the country we're choosing cannot use their historical focus tree. I'm sure all of these countries on this list will be just as fun if you play with historical focuses off. However, to get some consistency, I chose to play everyone with historical focuses on. And that's pretty much it. So, without further ado, let's jump in to our number 10 choice. Coming in at number 10 is my man, my best boy, Leon Trotsky, leading the Fourth International, a communist alternative to Joseph Stalin and the Soviet Union. And when it comes to communist philosophies, there can only be one. So what I really like about this path is just its wackiness, the idea of this exiled revolutionary somehow coming to rule over a socialist Mexico, and somehow through his charisma or ideological force of will is able to get the entirety of Central and South America together in an alliance to fight in an epic battle to retake his homeland. From a gameplay perspective though, I find Trotskyist Mexico fun because you get Trotsky as an advisor, and he's a pretty good advisor. He gives you plus 12 organization plus communism support. And when you go down his focus tree, you unlock a series of decisions to ally the entirety of Central and South America together with you. Not only that, all these countries will get a spirit which increases their daily communism support. So it gives you an option. You can either spend political power to ally all these countries, or you can use Trotsky and his buffed spies to increase communist support in key countries, because once a country flips to a communist government, they'll automatically seek to join the Fourth International. And when I played through this path for the video, every single nation that I asked to join the alliance agreed without hesitation. So I'm not sure if it's even possible they will say no. Then of course, once you have your alliance set up, you get them together and declare war on the Soviet Union and retake your homeland. The only thing that's kind of weird is I don't think it's possible to do this without allying with the Germans, so the whole thing ends up being kind of weird. Regardless though, as soon as you take over the Soviet Union and puppet them, which for some reason still leaves Stalin in charge, you can turn around and fight the Germans. Before we wrap up though, a few key points to remember if you choose to play Trotskyist Mexico. First is that the event will usually come around September or October 1936. And in order to get Trotsky as your leader, you have to bring him into the government. You can't just bring him into the country. Next is that this event will not fire if you choose the Jefe Maximo focus. So don't do it. I know as much as you now want to go click on Hearts of Iron, load up the game, choose Mexico, and then select this focus, absolutely do not do it. Moving on to number 9. At number 9, we have what I like to call Empire in a Box, and that is the Brazil-Portugal Union. Personally, this is one of my favorite focus trees on the entire Iberian Peninsula, and it's a fun and easy way to turn yourself into a formidable nation. So with this focus tree, what ends up happening is that you fuse the Brazilian and Portuguese monarchies together, they become a single country, and through doing this you get access to all of Brazil's manpower, you get access to all of Brazil's resources, to their navy, to their army. It gives you a huge boost as Portugal. Unfortunately, if you do this, you may have to fight a couple civil wars. One civil war you will almost certainly have to fight is the Brazilian Civil War. Fortunately, it's extremely easy. The monarchist side of the Brazilian Civil War will join you, and you can send the standing Portuguese army in there to clean up the rebels very easily. However, this may be new, and I'm sure someone will tell me in the comments if it is, because I think they may have nerfed this path since it came out. Now, as Portugal, if you don't have 40% stability when attempting to restore the monarch to power, it'll cause a civil war. I'm not sure if that was always there or just this time I didn't happen to have the 40% stability, but this is the first time I remember having to fight a civil war while attempting this focus tree. In Portugal, that is. As you can see, the rest of the Iberian Peninsula is just a total mess. However, this civil war shouldn't slow you down too much, because even if you didn't prepare for it whatsoever, as soon as Brazil unifies with you, you'll get access to their army and navy and be able to win the civil war easily. From there, you can go anywhere. You can invade the rest of Spain, you can join the Allies, you can romp around in China. Being this powerful nation early on gives you a lot of options for the rest of the game. Onwards now to number 8. At number 8, it's Communist Australia. Like, don't worry, that's all you get. The one thing I really like about Communist Australia is, well, the focus tree isn't that compelling. The position that you're in, I find to be very strategically compelling. Not only that, once you become communist, not only do you get one of the best flags in the game, but you also get one of the best named leaders in the game. Good old Dick Dixon. Anyway, once Tricky Dicky gets in command, it may be very tempting to invade New Zealand, and yes, you can defeat them fairly easily with the resources and navy you have, but then you're stuck in a perpetual war with the Allies, which is a lot more trouble than it's worth. Instead, the far juicier prize is the Dutch East Indies, and you can take over them very easily. The Australian Army and Navy can land anywhere in the Dutch East Indies and easily overpower the small garrison. Plus, if you're lucky, the Dutch will actually send their entire army to the Dutch East Indies, and then that's when you bring in the Comintern and launch a naval invasion on the Netherlands itself. Of course, all of this should be done before world tension gets high enough where France and Britain will start throwing out guarantees. If I'm not mistaken, for this particular playthrough, I puppeted the Dutch after invading them. Then, when Germany came to invade the Benelux, they actually avoided the Netherlands, as we were all together in the Comintern, and invading them would call in the Soviet Union at the same time. The Japanese left us alone too, for a similar reason. So, with Dick Dixon under the protection of Papa Stalin's glorious mustache, you are pretty much free to bully anyone at will, or just wait for Germany to invade, and then fight the good old-fashioned Great Patriotic War. We've done our 8, now let's hit the gate. At lucky number 7, I put the fascist Netherlands or Belgium, depending on your preference. They have very similar experiences. Belgium is a little bit harder, being smaller, but unfortunately they suffer from having the generic focus tree, which I am personally not a very big fan of. So I prefer to play the Netherlands, which is going to trigger like half my audience, because for whatever reason, like half my audience is Belgian. Okay, half is a little bit hyperbolic, but there are a lot of Belgians here. In any case, what I like about this playthrough is it exemplifies the philosophy of, if you can't beat them, join them. And now you too can be a little cog in the fascist war machine. Actually, with the Netherlands' resources and position, they are poised to be extremely helpful to Germany. So basically, you become Germany's right-hand man. The one important thing to remember with this playthrough is that you want to do the war on pacifism as fast as possible, because you can't unlock the war justifications on Belgium and Luxembourg until you get rid of the national spirit. Fortunately though, you can really push these justifications up to the wire, because when you get them through focuses, Britain and France will have no opportunity to do a guarantee before you can invade them. So you can consolidate the Benelux under your rule very quickly and efficiently, and with that you also get access to a nice African colony. Plus, then you can form the United Netherlands and get access to the Belgian and Luxembourg manpower too. Then from there, consolidate your gains, build up your air force and navy, and get ready to attack France. In this playthrough, considering that the Benelux was already on the German side, France didn't last long. In fact, they fell before Poland. Then, once you accomplish that, you can focus your navy and air force on one task, that is, invading the United Kingdom, which is usually pretty easy, so long as you avoid trying to directly naval invade across the English Channel. Then it's just a simple process of defeating England before the United States can join the Allies, and Germany decides to attack the Soviet Union. Once you accomplish that, it's pretty much consolidate everything once again, and then join Germany for the invasion of Russia. All in all, it's a very fun campaign, nice and action-packed, while at the same time not having to worry about the burden of all the heavy lifting. Onwards to number 6, which was an entry I had much higher on the list initially, but over time got knocked down. In fact, I was tempted to switch number 6 and number 7. However, you can be the judge. At number 6, I have Hellas, or Byzantine Greece. I had a tough time choosing between the two, because I love to play on the Allies side when I play as Greece, and when you go down the Hellas route, you're basically locked into joining the Allies because you have to be a democratic nation for the Magali Convention to have any hope of success. And if it does succeed, you get a ton of land and resources basically for free, because Britain and France will help you partition Turkey. And then from there, the game is very similar to playing a historical campaign as Greece with the Allies, except you're like a super Greece. But playing as the Byzantine Empire forces you basically to go against the Allies, and by and large joining with Germany. And that's certainly a fun playthrough too. To me, the big factor of how much you can get done all boils down to how quickly you can defeat Turkey, which you have to do on your own when trying to revive the Byzantine Empire. Doing so, however, gives you access to all of Turkey's manpower and resources, which basically puts you on the scale of at least a regional power, bordering on superpower, especially once you start to gobble up some of your neighboring territories. What ended up dragging this particular choice back a lot was the underwhelming focus tree. I guess it stands out because I think the other focus trees in Battle for the Bosporus are quite good, but even with the good focus trees, I find Turkey and Bulgaria to be not that interesting to play just because of their strategic position, whereas I quite enjoyed Greece's strategic position. I guess all I'm trying to say is that it felt like kind of a missed opportunity. Either way though, restoring Greece to its former pride, in my opinion, is one of the best alternate history paths for Hearts of Iron 4. So, without further ado, let's go to the halfway point. And number 5 is one I'm sure that you all knew would probably get on this list at some point, and that is the Austro-Hungarian Restoration. This is a bit of an older focus tree, and I noticed some new things playing through it in 2021. For one thing, I've noticed that Austria seems much more eager to defy the referendum, sparking a war. Fortunately, as Hungary, you can still defeat them very easily, then annex Austria, and of course, this will prevent Germany from the Einschluss. Unlike Austria though, Czechoslovakia always seems to be very eager to play ball, and will become a willing puppet to the new Austro-Hungarian Empire. And what's great about this is because as a puppet, you can request their forces and they have to give them to you. And the Czechoslovakian army is pretty awesome. So once you've got a solid position, the first thing you want to do is turn south and declare war on Yugoslavia. They're guaranteed by Romania, so that will bring them into the war automatically. Fortunately though, your army combined with Czechoslovakia will be able to beat Romania and Yugoslavia pretty much without issue. I had to grind it out a bit, but Yugoslavia is the weaker of the pair, so once you break them, it's an easy course to take out Romania. The nice thing is that you can defeat this pair without sparking World War II, and thereby annex them, and of course annex all that juicy former Austro-Hungarian territory, which easily becomes your core territory through decisions. Then you can create a Romanian puppet so you don't have to deal with the Soviet Union when they come knocking at your door for Bessarabia. The only thing is, though, you will almost certainly have to give up the Sudetenland. It sucks, but you can fight Germany later. Fortunately, giving them the Sudetenland won't cause Czechoslovakia to collapse. So from here, you are in a great position with almost all of the former Austro-Hungarian Empire's territory, except of course for that very sad-looking bite taken out of the Sudetenland. All in all, though, still a very fun alternate history path, even in 2021. At number 4, we have the Anti-Colonial Crusade of South Africa. And unlike the other entries on the list, I'm going to set you up with a little bit of a tighter build order, which will put you in a very good position going into World War II. At first, you're just going to want to rush down the communist focus tree until you hit a snag. Usually you'll find the snag at the focuses which require X amount of communist support to proceed. After that, you're going to want to switch to your naval focuses and rush down until you get submarine warfare. Before you get there, though, make sure you have submarine 1 and 2 researched. Then you can spend that research bonus submarine warfare gives you on submarine level 3. At the same time, make sure you're building military factories, and almost exclusively military factories. You want to get as many guns as you can. For your infantry template, I just like to knock off 1 infantry brigade off the district force. That way you have a nice 10 combat with division to go into battle with. So while you're getting your submarine research, build military factories and spam out troops. How you spend your political power doesn't matter that much. Just try to make sure you're doing things that will bolster your infantry and also your communist support. If you've been doing this right, when you're ready to select the focus, which lets you declare war on Portugal for their colonies, you should easily have enough troops to defend your borders, plus an additional 10 that can make a naval invasion, and then enough submarine 3s to support that naval invasion and get naval supremacy over Portugal. Usually not that difficult. I like to then launch a naval invasion on Cape Verde, as they very rarely have troops there. In fact, I've never seen them station troops there. Your submarine 3s should give you enough range to be able to do this. Once you take those islands, you then launch a naval invasion onto the southern tip of Portugal. Make sure you get as many divisions as you can into that naval invasion, because you want to hit them hard and fast and overwhelm them and take as much territory as you possibly can. This is probably the trickiest part, this invasion of Portugal, of this initial strategy. But generally speaking, if you can land with 10 with divisions, you should be able to overwhelm mainland Portugal pretty easily. Especially if they've filtered a lot of their army into Africa. Once you take out Portugal, you annex their colonies and then puppet Portugal itself. From there, you get your war goal on Belgium. And then Belgium is a cakewalk. You invade Belgium from Portugal, while at the same time just leaving a small force in Africa to hold back the Belgians. Your naval invasion should be able to sweep over Belgium easily, and then of course you can decide their fate, because you can accomplish all of this before World War II starts, and through focuses you can avoid Britain and France giving out guarantees. So me personally, I didn't even bother puppeting Belgium. I just annexed all their territory. Then from here you're in a glorious position. You've liberated several colonies which will now become your allies once freed. And not only that, you've got land in Europe proper. This opening also puts you in a very good position to attempt the Crusader Kings II achievement, as from your staging points in Portugal and Belgium, you can attempt an invasion of Great Britain. However, you can choose to fight your anti-colonial crusade however you want from this position. And I always have fun doing it. That's the reason why this particular campaign ends up being so high on the list. We're in the top 3 now, and coming in at number 3 is going to be what I call Winston Churchill's Imperial Commonwealth. So this is probably the least alt history of all the alt history campaigns, but what this involves is you going down the global defense path of the UK focus tree and kicking out Neville Chamberlain as soon as he sets foot in office. All the while, though, you're going to be wanting to go down the Imperial Federation focus tree, so in order to face the fascist hordes, the entire Commonwealth will be united into one glorious nation. Having Churchill in power early gives you a couple of nice advantages. One, he builds political power, which is great. 2, he gives you access to some nice intervention-focused war goals, so you have a lot more choice of when World War II starts. And 3rd, it gives you access to maintaining imperial integrity, which will make the process of forming the Commonwealth much easier because it gives the Commonwealth nations a daily autonomous progress gain of negative 0.5. So for this campaign, I was able to form the Commonwealth Union before Germany even invaded the Soviet Union. So basically, what this campaign feels like is a normal British campaign on steroids. You have access to way more material, way more manpower. You gain a huge boost when the Federation is formed because you gain all of your Dominion's navy and standing armies. But at the same time, you are micromanaging all of those countries now. You don't have any puppets to take any of the burden off your shoulders anymore, which is actually a cool feeling because you do feel very powerful, but at the same time your enemies are very powerful too, so you don't feel like a juggernaut steamrolling over everyone. A very fun campaign, worthy of the number 3 spot. At number 2, we have what I think is a very underrated focus path and country, that is Communist France. What makes this country so powerful and so fun to play for me is, as soon as you become a communist nation and the party takes over, I decolonize everybody. And all of that territory that France owns in West Africa and Southeast Asia is so much more valuable to you as a puppet. It's crazy. You become extremely overpowered quickly, and not only that, you snowball. So as you release these puppets, they will gain access to their focus trees, which will allow them to build more civilian factories and of course military factories in their nations, which they will then use to start equipping their own armies, or if they don't have the population, they'll simply send you those guns in the form of a lend-lease. But some of the nations you can release as France turn out to be quite formidable puppets. Vietnam in particular stands out, as with their high population, they start to spam out troops very quickly. And over time, those puppets are just going to keep building more factories. And of course, as the overlord, you get access to a portion of their production. They're going to be building more guns, more troops. Before you know it, you've got pretty much unlimited manpower and resources at your disposal. Then, if you want to make things even more frustrating for the Germans, you can join the Comintern. And then all of a sudden, Germany gets very afraid to attack you. In fact, they won't attack you in 1940 or 1939. They will wait until they declare war on the Soviet Union to attack you at the same time, which just gives you more time to build more troops, more fortifications, because you know the Germans are coming. It's only a matter of time. This puts Germany in a terrible spot. They're forced automatically into another two-front war, and much later, so you've had more time to become more and more powerful. Plus, even if the Soviet Union does get defeated, because there's now another major power in the Comintern, it's not the end of the world. They'll just become exiled in France, and Germany will have to waste all of their manpower and resources trying to garrison the entirety of Russia. So the campaign is a lot of fun, and it's always a good time to see what your puppets are up to. For example, you'll see the glorious Vietnamese Trinidadian invasion of Yugoslavia. Good times. Well, that's it. Onwards to number 1. Welcome one and all to the moment you've been waiting for, the final entry on the list, the best alternate history path for Hearts of Iron 4, and the one I really didn't want to put at number 1, but honestly, there just isn't any other choice. And that is, of course, Kaiserreich Germany. There's a reason why the Kaiserreich universe is so popular, because it doesn't matter what timeline you're in. If the Kaisers run in Germany anytime during the 1930s, crazy shit is gonna happen. So this campaign starts off with a bang. A massive civil war you have to fight in Germany to take care of the Big H and his Nazis. Then after that, you have a few choices on where you can go. However, I always prefer to go down the Kaiserreich route, bringing back Kaiser Willy, and then from there, you can do a lot of different things. For example, in this campaign, I intended to basically do a rerun of World War I, but really focusing in on the Soviet Union as the predominant threat. One of the interesting things when you go down the Kaiserreich path, Germany becomes a non-aligned country. So when you're setting things up before World War II, a lot of the non-aligned countries will join your faction. This includes Yugoslavia, Romania, and even the Baltic countries. So basically, you can create a non-aligned superpower blob in the center of Europe very easily. And then from there, I just waited for the Soviet Union to declare war on Poland, which they will do eventually. As one of the great things about this focus tree is that you can get Danzig in exchange for a Polish guarantee of independence from Germany. So when the Soviet Union attacks, Poland will automatically join your faction. So now the Soviet Union is at a huge disadvantage. Finland even joins your side. All the Baltics, they don't have Eastern Poland. It's a total mess. But then things get messier when out of nowhere, Japan decides to declare war on Yugoslavia. They were probably mad at Germany because I asked them for Tsingtao back. So now Japan and the Soviet Union are fighting basically the world together in one of the strangest alliance combos I've ever seen in my life. And it was about at this point in the campaign where I was just like, God damn it, I've got no choice. This has got to be the number 1 pick. And that's it. I can't believe I finally finished it. I finally finished my top 10 Hearts of Iron alternate history pass video. I, like many of you, doubted that this day would ever come, but lo and behold, here we are. So guys, that's the end of the list. I really hope you enjoyed it. I put a ton of effort into this, but also it was so much fun to do. So I hope this gave you some good ideas for your next Hearts of Iron playthrough, and until next time, this has been DeComrade, signing off, and you guys take care.